working. He is trying to tell you some details, but
No
I will
problem.
share. I will share. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, just give me numbers so that I
Sure,
can
sure,
be in contact with them. That's it.
sure, sure. Definitely.
So we won't do continuous calls. If you say if you are not interested or interested,
Yeah, sure,
then
sure. Definitely. I already told to him. Okay.
yeah.
No issue. After the
Just
completion
we
of this
want to
class,
know whoever
I will
is
tell you.
attending
I will
or
tell
not.
to
Yeah, yeah,
Raja. Okay.
no problem. If you even if you drop me a message, that's fine. Just
I
to
think my side also some message is not dropping from for you only.
oh, that's fine. So not an issue.
Okay.
So just for why we will take numbers and emails is to just to
Yeah, I know.
send
I
the
understand.
invite
Hmm.
and just to remind for first 3 4 day classes. That's it.
Okay. Okay. No issue.
So let's get back. What we have discussed in the last two sessions. Anyone want to summarize it? What we have discussed in the last two sessions? 2 or 3 sessions. Any one of you want to summarize it? In the first session, we have discussed about integration. What is integration? What is middleware? And how middleware is going to help the industry. Before middleware, how the people used to do the integrations, and the next, what is middleware? How many ways we can do the integrations? If you go to any technology in the integrations, how many ways you can do the integrations, and then what are the popular middleware tools available in the market? Just listen, just have a look on the slide. We are going to use every topic. We are going to move from one topic to the other topic. This is kind of, these are the things we are going to learn throughout our sessions. And then what is Mulesoft? And then, some brief introduction about Mulesoft. What is its customer base? And advantages of using the Mulesoft for time being. This is your one of the first advantage at this point you have to know. And then those who have some integration background, this will be your advantage. So you don't need to have any standalone servers. So Mulesoft, you don't need to do any configurations. Mulesoft will provide an integration platform as a service, iPaaS. We have ready-made runtimes available directly. Your customer needs to pay a few bucks money and get the get the production ready environment within minutes. Generally, if in real time, previous days, if you want to go for production deployment, there used to be lots of process you need to follow. At least 1 month process used to be there, right? So first, your Linux servers needs to be configured, then, and on top of that, your servers, load balancers, right? Making high availability, all these things used to be there, but now there is nothing is there. Within clicks you can do the things. And the next one is licensing. This is not that much valid slide now. And prerequisite, you don't need any prerequisite to learn the Mulesoft. Anyone with basic understanding on computer can learn, but a bit common sense, applying common sense is required. And what you need in your computer, you need a minimum of 4 GB RAM computer needs to be available, 2 GB CPU, and then 10 GB storage. So everyone will have it. Only thing is to have 4 GB CPU, 4 GB RAM. If possible, make it 8 GB and do that. So what you will get in my course, I have already explained, or Alikia might have you explained this, and how to choose the trainer. So in any course, wherever you are going to learn, first check with the existing students and take the feedback and then join. Don't go on join with by listening to the fancy advertisement words. That is the first session we have done. In the second session, what we have done in the second session, we have started discussing about Anypoint Studio. Anypoint Studio is an IDE or a tool where you will do the drag and drop, where you will develop the Mule integrations or Mule applications by using drag and drop mechanism. So when you start Anypoint platform, Anypoint Studio, you have to give a location. So when I am starting this Anypoint studio, when I'm clicking on this, it is asking me a folder, so where I can store my projects which are developed inside this studio. The folder location is called workspace. Workspace. So choose the workspace. It will load the workspace into the studio. And then yesterday we have created a hello world program, and then we have developed the hello world program and we have ran it, and then we discussed how to debug an application. So how to debug an application? So right click on your project, on your on your hello world application, use run or debug option. To run, choose the first one. To debug, choose the second one. And we completed the debugging yesterday. And so yesterday, day before yesterday, we discussed about Anypoint Studio Anatomy. What are the different windows in your Anypoint Studio? And then your first application development. So how do you develop the first application? What are the steps? And then once after developing the first application, so we have discussed about few points. What is a Mule application? Mule application is a combination of one or more Mule configuration files, and each Mule configuration file contains a minimum of one flow. So what your Mule application indirectly a flow will do, it receives the requests, right? We'll call them as events here and process them and route them to other endpoints. So what does it means? The integration, we are doing the integration means we have to receive the data from one system and give the data to the other system. So that is what here we are doing, receiving the events and process them and route them to the other endpoints. Other endpoint means other systems. So that is what we have discussed, and we have discussed about the Mule flow. And Mule flow, what will Mule flow contains? Mule flow graphical user interface, and CUI, the code automatically that gets generated. And then about the Mule application building blocks, so what we have used to build the Mule application. So these are all the components. All these components are grouped together. Each group has given a name. Core is a group name, database is a group name, HTTP is a group name, sockets is a group name. Inside this, we will have the list of components available inside each and every group. If required, we can add the groups. If you want to interact with the file, add the file group here. So you have to just do drag and drop. And if you want to interact with the SFTP, Salesforce, and anything else, so you have to add that particular module, right? In the same way, you can delete the module. So after that, in yesterday's session, what we have discussed the debugging. So once after debugging, we are discussing about connector and modules. I'll explain this once after completing the few examples. Just remind me. So now we are going to discuss about the file connectors. So file connectors. Why we need file connectors? We need file connectors. We need the file connectors. Where is my mouse? Okay. So here is your system, one system, and here is your another system. What are you? Where are you? You as a middleware developer, your integration is here. So you have two jobs. One is you have two jobs. One is receiving the data from this particular system, and then processing this data, and then handovering this data to a different system. That is what we will do as a middleware, as an integration. That is what the integration is. So now I told you to remember one slide. What is that slide? This is the slide. So how many ways an integration can happen? How many ways systems can exchange the data? Systems can exchange the data in these many ways. One system will give you data in the file format. One system will write the data in a file. It will create a file. Inside the file, it will write the data. As a middleware guy, as an integration developer, what you have to do is you have to read this data and then process this data and give to the other system. So now we are at the starting point. So now every integration starts learning or starts learning with the files only. So now we are taking this part. In next 1 or 2 sessions we will come to this part. So now what is our agenda? So before you are doing any example, you should know what you are trying to do. Then only you do start doing the example. Otherwise, don't blindly open Anypoint Studio and practice the steps. Okay, you should know what you are trying to do. What is agenda here? What are we trying to learn today? We are trying to learn about file connector. Why file connector? It is used to read, write, list, move the files from one system to other system. Right? This is what we are trying to do. What are we trying to do? Read, write, list, move the files from one system to the other system, right? That is file connector. So now here what I'm trying to do, here I have a file. So imagine there will be different kinds of files will be there, in which one of the file is called comma separated values. What is that called? Comma separated values. It means in short form the file is CSV file. What is that? CSV file. So in this what we will have? We will maintain the data in a CSV format. So I'll write some data here. So I'm writing one, some sure, some 20, some 30. Two, some Raju, some 21, some 31. Then does anyone know what is this data is? What is 1 represents, what is Kishore represent, what is 20 represents, what is 30 represents? Anyone of you know this? What is exactly it represents? What does it exactly represents?
Employee details.
Employee
Employee details. You can take employee details like the
anything
serial
else?
number and the employee name, employee age.
Anything else?
Is it like key value?
Is it like key value? Okay. There is key, where is value? Just I have few values which are comma separated. So in order to know what exactly this data is in comma separated files, in the first row, they will provide the what each column represents. What each column, first field before first comma, what it represents. Between 1 and 2, what it represents. Right? Marks 1, marks 2. Now anyone can tell what the data represents? By seeing the header, we can say this file, the data represents student number data, student name data, marks 1, marks 2, this data, right? This data we will mention in this particular file. So now what is your responsibility? Your responsibility is to interact with this file. So now your responsibility is to interact with this file. So if it is at source system, what we need to do? If it is a file, if it is at source system side, the file is at source system. As a Mule integration developer, what you will do? What we can do if there is a file?
We need to connect with the source system,
We will connect with the source system. After that,
read the file.
Read the file.
If it is source system, we will read the file. If it is target system,
We will publish the
Will
file or write
we
the file.
will
publish.
send
Write
the
the file.
right. In general terms, we will get the data and then we will send the data or receive the data and send the data. So whichever is sending the data, whichever is whichever is producing the data is called source, and whichever is receiving the data is called target in the integration terminology. So whenever you speak, you have to speak in terms of source and target. So source is the person which is the one which triggers your integration. If the source doesn't create a file, then there is no meaning of integration. If the source creates a file and hand over the data to ask us to hand over the data to the target, then it initiates the integration. So now we have file connector. So what is this file connector? There are 4 different connectors are available to work with the files and folders. If you want to work with the files and folders, there are 4 different connectors are available. Don't worry about connector, just treat it like a module, right? A group of components will be available under this, right? And now, first one is file connector, second one is FTP, third one is SFTP, fourth one is FTPS, right? So these are 4 connectors are available to interact with the file. Why 4 connectors? In general, suppose.
Kishore,
Yes.
just a second. Are you presenting your screen?
Yes.
Because I am unable to see what you are presenting.
Okay. Is it same with everyone?
We are able to see.
No, it is visible.
So just disconnect whenever you feel there is a gap. Just disconnect once and connect. You can see everything in the same browser window where you have joined the meeting. Okay. Right?
Kishore, I have already did the same, but it's not happening.
Put your internet speed or join from a different browser.
Once again, I'll join once again.
Yeah, just take this URL and then join from a different. He disconnected. So now, just imagine we have a friends, right? Everyone will have a friend. So inside your friend house, there are 4 different friends. Inside your friend's house, there is some kind of item is there, and he wants to share that item with us, right? So one friend says, come from the front door. Another friend says, come from the back door, right? Another friend says, don't come to my house, stay at our street and I'll come and hand over the item to you. So each and everyone will say how to connect to them or how to connect to them to get the item in their house, right? In the same way, when it comes to the IT, so if you have a system and inside that system you have a file, then how to access this file? So there will be different ways they will tell us. On what basis it will be? Suppose this is my system. Inside my system now I have a file. And now, right? So if this system and the file inside the system, I have a file, and in the same system I am running my Mule application. Now, where are the Mule application and the file? Is it on the same system or different systems? Where are the file and the Mule application or Mule runtime? Your Anypoint Studio. It is on the same system. Then, if your file and your Mule runtime is on the same system, from the Mule you will use file connector to connect to it. And if there is a system, what it will do is, if there is a system, something like this, so these systems will expose their file in different ways, as like your friends. One will ask you to come to front door, another one for back door, something like this. So when they are exposing these files, right, they won't expose their complete computer. Whatever is there inside their complete hard disk, they won't expose. They will make some part private, maximum part private, and only, they will share, some part of the computer to the others to access the files. Now, how they are asking us, just like our friends, how they are asking us to connect from front door, to connect from back door, to connect at the street end. In the same way, the way to expose their files depends on different ways. One way is FTP, another way is SFTP, another way is FTPS. Right? Now, this system only exposes your files, and in a different system, your Mule application is running. This is the Mule application. It is running in a different machine. So how Mule application will connect to this system and get the file? What connector I need to use? What connector I need to use?
FTP.
FTP, SFTP, FTPS. It depends on your system how the file is exposed. If the file is exposed from a different system with FTP protocol, that is called a protocol. What is that? Protocol means a certain number of steps you have to follow while connecting to it. Same way, FTP, SFTP, FTPS, all these are three called protocols, right? So when these guys say, hey, my file is exposed on FTP, then you will use FTP connector to connect to it. When you say, I'm exposed, when your friends say SFTP, SFTP, FTPS, FTPS. So after connecting to it, connection establishment is done. So everywhere it's the same file, right? The file is kind of same, right? So file properties, file will have a name, file will have a size, file will have, someone who modified it, something like this, right? The accessing of the file will be the same. The operations that you will do on the file will be the same. What we can do on the file, either you can
Read, write, list, move.
Either you can read or write or list or delete, right? These are the operations you can perform. So once you connect it to your end systems, whether it is FTP, SFTP, FTPS or file, right? All the operations that performed on these all connectors is the same thing. So in which, what's the first operation? OnNewUpdate file. Second operation, read. Third operation, write. Fourth operation, list. Fifth operation, move. Sixth operation. So like that, we will have a lot of operations in each every connector. But for all your file connectors, 4 file connectors supports same kind of operations. What are those? Read, write, list, move. We know all these operations. And what is this OnNewUpdate file? So OnNewUpdate file is something like this. So you have to enable the integration. So this is one system and this is the other system. So this system doesn't know when he will, suppose some user comes and enters some data, or some user comes and buys, some product from my system. Then I want to send this product details to a different system. That is what my integration is. What is my integration? I have a source system and I have a target system. In the source system, it's like, Flipkart or Amazon kind of system. So you don't know when a user logs in and orders for a product, right? So what you have to do, once the file comes, once the file generates, what you have to do, you have to read the file and then, process the file, and then, what is this processing, we'll see later. So process the file and then send this to a different system. But how should I know when this file is created? How should I know? Right? So for that purpose, in the file connector, you have an operation. What is that?
On new or updated.
OnNewUpdate. The name itself says that what your file connector will do is, your file connector operation, it will continuously check, right? Continuously check Do I have new file? What it will do? Do I have new file? Do I have updated file? So your OnNewUpdate's purpose is to go and come to your end system, source system, and continuously check, do I have new file or not? Yes, if I find new file, what it has to do? If it finds the new file, what it has to do? It should trigger the integration. What it has to do? It should trigger the integration. Before triggering integration, it should read the data and trigger the integration. So triggering the integration means receive the data, hand over the data to the next event processors. This event processors will receive the data, process it, and finally it will send it to the end system. So what your OnNewUpdate will do? It looks for a new file exists or not in the given location, and then it will, and then what it will do? It will read the data if the file exists and triggers the integration. That is what we are going to do. So in yesterday's session, what we have done, we have sent only data outside of the Mule application, right? From browser, did you receive anything? Did you receive any data into the browser? Any data from the browser to Mule application? No. We have only sent the data back to the browser saying, hi, welcome to Mulesoft, right? In today's application, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the data inside the Mule application. So what I will do is I will create a new application. So before creating, what else is there in the slides? Using a file connector. How do you use a file connector? If I want to use the file connector, what I have to do? I'm creating a new Mule application, file new, Mule project, toolbar new, Mule project, right click on package explorer, new Mule project. All are same. Now it's my second application. I'm keeping B, alphabet 2, and then I'm keeping file operations is my project name. Now it has created a file. Now I want to interact with the files. What I have to do? Do I have any event processor available, any component available to interact with the files? Yes, no? Anyone? What I have to do? Are you guys following?
We have to read the data from source system.
We have to read the data from the source system. Fine. What we have to do now in the Mule application in order
We have to drag and drop listener.
drag and drop the listener. Okay. What we need to interact
We
with the
need
files?
We need to start a Mule flow.
You need to start a Mule flow. Good. You are missing something. Do you have anything here to interact with the files?
No.
Yes, we have modules.
Do you have file module?
Yes.
Is it available to your project?
No, we'll have to add a file module there.
We have to add the file module to the project, right? Yesterday, when we discussed about your Mule application building blocks, I have explained the main building blocks of the Mule applications are components. Components are the one which executes our business logic. These are separated into categories: core components, modules, and connectors. By default, every project will include what? HTTP and socket modules. So in order to interact with the files, what we need? File module. How to add that? Click on this add modules and choose file. And I'll show you this. What is the text, blue color text here, but it takes time. Okay. So now click on this file. What does the text says here in the blue color text? Drag and drop here to add to project. Add a file. Drag drop file and place it the file here. Now your file got added to your project. Now your file module is ready. Now you can use it. So yesterday we have discussed about what? HTTP listener. When you drag drop the listener, what is added on top of the listener? Surrounding the listener, what is this rectangular one? What is this called? What is the basic building block of the Mule? What will be there inside Mule configuration file? What is there inside Mule configuration file? I'm giving clue as well.
Flow.
Right? It's your flow. Now, today I will add a flow in a different way. So flow is also a component inside your core module. Just scroll down, or else you can just simply type flow. In the core module, I have something called flow. Let's go and search for it. Though it takes time, under the scopes under the core module, I have a flow. So this is what is your flow looks like. What it will contain? Source and then event processors. Source is what? Source is your what? Source is your starting point, triggering point for your Mule integration. So what is the source? Yesterday we have seen listener. Listener is a source event processor. What is logger? What kind of event processor it is? Is it a source event processor? When you drag drop the event processor inside your canvas, right? If you have inside, you can directly drag drop inside your flow, or you can drag drop outside the flow. Then depending on your event processor, it will add it to the flow. If it is a source, a flow will be created and the component will be added as a source event processor. If it is a non-source event processor, regular event processor, a flow will be created and then it will be added as a normal event processor. Is it clear to everyone? Are you guys following the discussion?
Kishore, can you repeat the last part?
So the basic building block in the Mule is a flow. Right? Inside Mule configuration files, you can create the flows. So a flow can be directly created or indirectly created. What is direct creation? Just to go and identify the flow component, drag drop. Flow got added. It's an empty flow. General flow contains source and process section. So we have different components available. So when you take a component and if you drag drop, by default, a component standalone will not exist. It will always surrounded by a flow. When you drag drop, automatically a flow can be added. Right? When it comes to the components are of two types. Source event processors, source components which fits into the source, means which accepts the request from outside world. And normal processors, event processors, normal component which takes the event from your source and then process it. Suppose if you do logger is a normal event processor. So it can be added as a normal processor. Even if you create outside of any of your existing flows, it will be added as a normal event processor. It's not possible to add your logger as a source event processor. Right? So that's about your flows. Now, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do an example which will continuously what is the requirement here?
Poll for a new file to be created.
So polling means what it needs to do. It's what kind of event processor we need here. We need a start event, source event processor, or normal event processor.
Source event processor on new or updated.
On new or
Updated file.
update, right? So I want on new or update. Every connector will have, every module will have one source event processor. So now I'm dragging it and dropping it in here. So what kind of event processor is your on new or update? What kind of event processor?
Source event processor.
Source event processor, right? So I will take on your update as a source event processor, and now I have to configure it. What are the things we have to provide to it? On your update is an event processor. What are the things we have to provide?
Location of the file and file name.
How to provide? Where is it? Where is the file? We need to provide the location. Second one, in the location, we may have 10 different files. What file you need to read? You have to provide the file name, right? In order to identify the file, we need to identify the file name. So what it will do, what its job on your update? It has to continuously go and check. Continuously means how? Continuously means how? Every second, every minute, right? That is called frequency. How frequently I can go and check, right? The frequency we have to give. These three things we have to give. Now what I will do, I will go and in your batch, I'll create an structure, new folder. File ops is my folder name. Here I am creating folders. One folder called in. Now inside this, I want to create a file. What is our file? What kind of data we are trying to read? I'm trying to read what kind of data?
Comma separated values.
I'm trying to read my student data, which is a comma separated values. So now I will go and create this. So please pay attention, the non-IT people. So what I'll do is all of you install Notepad++, or if you have any other favorite tool, that's fine. If you are first time using, just use Notepad++. So how I should write, how should I create my student data? How the CSV file looks like? How should it will be? Student number, student name. First row is in header row. And then what is the next row? Your data, student number 1, comma, student name Kishore, comma, 10, comma, 12. Student number 2, first record represents first student data. Second record represents second student data, in which first field represents student number, second field represents student name, third field represents student marks 1, student marks 2. Now, how to save this file? This is the biggest mistake everyone will do. Just have an observation. Just use save and go to the location where you want to save. This is my location under file ops under in, and there is something called save as type. What is the save as type I have to use? It's what kind of file it is?
CSV file.
It's a CSV file. Do we have comma separated file structure? Star BBC C copy list season CSS. No, we don't have anything such here. So what you have to do is, one simplest part is just keep this as a regular file, but use double quotes, right? Use double quotes before your file name, and then students -in dot CSV. Now I have saved my file. Go to the file folder, what is the location you have created, and then observe. Okay, if you don't keep double quotes, while saving, how it will be. Save. I'm not keeping double quotes. I'm keeping test file, and then I'm .csv, and I'm keeping CSV as well, and then I'm entering. Now, oh, it's saving that as well. Let me show you in regular notepad. Regular notepad. This is my regular notepad. So I'll get the data. You do it here. Save. And then test1.csv. It got saved. Saved in a different location. Save. Oops. I think Windows 11 had done this feature. So it will store save as a normal text file. It will save as a normal text file, something like this. So make sure when you are saving, it will save as some test2.csv, and then it will have .txt at the end. So you can observe that by the help of a type called txt. It's not normally not saved as a CSV, comma separated values. So most of you will have an option where are my folder options? This is properties. Yeah. So I'm using Windows 11. Might be all of you are using Windows 10. Most of people. So what you have to do is just to go to the options or folder options, search for folder options, right? And then there is second tab called view. Here there is a checkbox. Hide extension for known file types. This is by defaultly checked. See now, you are not seeing the extension of your files. You don't know whether it is a text file or CSV file. See this file, it is showing like test.csv. But what is the type of file? It is really text file. To make sure properly, come here and then uncheck this and then apply OK. You will see the extension properly. So the type column. So make your views in detail. If you don't keep in detail, if you keep in list or if you keep in a small icon, you cannot see this. Just keep in the details and then see whether type is showing CSV or not. If not, come to Notepad and save it with the double coded file name. Then you will get it. So now what I have done, I have created my students in data. students-in.csv. Now my file is ready. Now what I have to do, I have to use my operation. So do I have answer to my 3 questions? What are the 3 questions? What are the 3 questions? The 3 questions
Where is
are,
file location?
where is file location? Where I have wrote that.
File location.
Yes. So 3 questions we have to give. What is the 3 questions? So I have 3 questions. Where is file? That is location. Where is my location of the file? Here, right? And then type of the file, or how should I identify the file? Identify file to read. What file you are trying to read? So either you can give file name or you can give file extension, right? Something else, some idea to how to read the file, which file I have to read. Suppose here in this, see, I have used some JSON, some text, some XML. I'm copying all this. So now I have 4 files in this location. Which file I need to read? I need to read this file, right? So that is the other one. And then what is the third question? How frequently what is the frequency we have to read this file? So what I'll say my file name is students hyphen in.csv, and then I'll say my frequency is for every 20 seconds read my file, the time difference between continuous checking, right? The time difference between continuous checking, right? So now come here. So what is the first thing we have to do? Connector configuration. What is the first thing we have to do? We have to do the connector configuration. So click on the plus. So as it is, the file location. So as it is, file connector, you no need to have any details, to provide, because both are in the same system. So no need to provide details. Then click on OK. And what is it? Directory. What is the value I have to provide? What's the value I have to provide? This value. Paste it out. And then matcher. How should I identify a file? So matcher, we are saying none here, but you choose what are the options. You choose the options. You choose the options, drop down, and then edit inline. Choose an option. I will edit here. I will provide the matcher value, edit inline. So in order to identify a file, you have given many options here, right? Starting with created since, ending with the maximum size, includes path, file name, and all. So we'll go with the file name pattern. What is my file name? What is my file name? Students hyphen in.csv. Provide that. And then what is this matcher part is done. Go out of the box. And then scheduling frequency, scheduling strategy, how frequently I should go and check. Every 20 seconds, I want to go and check. 20 is what? Milliseconds, hours, days. So provide that. So I provided three values. First value is the location. Second value is the matcher. In matcher condition, out of given conditions, I provided one. I choose one condition. Don't worry about other options. Only worry about the options that I'm showing. And then the frequency, it is 20 seconds. Now, save all. Now your OnNewUpdate is done. So what is OnNewUpdate will do? It will go to every 20 seconds this location and then try to read this file. If the file is exists, this file, go and read. How frequently? For every 20 seconds. So once, if the file is available, what it will do? It will go and read the data. So what is the event process section we will use here? What is the event process section we will use here? In the event processor sections, what we can use here?
Source.
What you guys know? What is the event process we will use here? In
Source.
this process section, source. The components I am asking, what component we can use here after once the file, once this guy read the data and then comes in. So now your Mule process starts. After that, what we need to do?
We can either copy, move, or write the file.
We can copy, move, write the file. As we don't know anything as of now, at this moment, I will try to go and log a message saying that, hey, file read is done. Right? That's it. Done. Save your application and then run your or debug your application. Let's go by debugging.
Kishore, one question. Uh, any changes to the file also will be detected by the source connector, right?
Yeah, it will.
Okay.
So it's asking for confirm perspective switch. Yes. I'm saying yes. So your perspective will change. Now my application is deployed. And what it is printed? What it is printed? What it is printing in the logger?
File read was done.
Means it means what was happened? What was happened? It
It
has.
is reading. It has read the file. It has
So
written the file.
you want to see what it read? Do you guys want to see what it has read?
Yes.
If you want to see what we have to do, we have to pass the execution, application execution. If you want to pass the application execution, what we have to do?
We have to create a breakpoint.
Run your application in the debug mode and then add a breakpoint. So let's go and add the breakpoint. In yesterday in the Mule debugger view, what is the one we have learned, we have seen? In Mule debugger, we observed one thing. What is it? What is it? I'm clearing my console. In yesterday's example, when we are applying the debugging, I asked you to observe one thing before and after executing one event processor. What is that?
Payload.
Payload. So I told you about one more thing. What was that? When you have an blue color dotted line, it means what? Now the cursor is over here, control is over here. It is about to execute that. That is the one which is the first one it will show you. Right? Now it is about to execute this. When if it executes, it will print this file read was done. Right? And then what's the next one? Payload. What is there in the payload? So the value you can see on the right hand side when I select the payload. What is there inside my
Student
payload?
information
What is student information? From where it did
from
get
the
it?
file.
Whatever the file it is, right? It is showing the content inside the file. So what does payload refers for? In combination of yesterday example and today example, what is you have seen in yesterday's example as payload? What you have seen when you are sending something to the browser, where you have set that value?
In the header.
No, if you want to send hi all, welcome to Mulesoft, where did you set that value?
In the payload.
In the payload. And in this example, when you receive something from external world, yesterday when you are sending something to external world, your browser, where you set in the payload. Today, you are receiving something outside, from outside to your Mule application. What is where you are saving that? Or from where you are receiving that value?
In the payload only.
In the payload only, right? So what is the payload used for? Payload is the place where if you want to read, if you want to receive the data, and then if you want to send the data, right, you will use something called, what is that? Payload, right? So that is what the payload is. Now, you are clear with this. Let's learn something new today. After logger, what we have? After logger, what we have? Here,
Attribute.
second one.
Attributes.
Attributes. Let's try to copy these attributes and then paste into our notepad. And then let me copy this payload. So this is payload. It'll take 2 minutes and then wrap it out. Hope as it's evening session, you guys doesn't have anything to disturb. So, so I'll separate them by commas. There's a single parameters, key values, directory false, last access time, last modified time, regular file, size, symbolic link, file name, and then path. So tell me, what are all this?
The properties of the file.
What are all this? This is some extra information about your file. What is the name here? File name represents. It represents your file name. What is the file I have read? What is this path represents? It represents the fully qualified path to access your file. From where I have access, it includes the directory location as well as my file name, right? And then is it a directory false? When this file is created, 22/1, 7:27 p.m. When it is last accessed, same time. When it is last modified, same time, right? We have these many things. Let's go and modify it once and then see. Students in.csv, let me add another row. Just for the sake of adding, I'm adding, this is 22. And then save it. Then leave the file. Now I have left it. So just you can click on this next event processor, or you can click on this. So now go to your attributes. In your attributes, what is the last modified time now? That's the last modified time. What's the time? 7:44. Right? So this is how you will get an extra properties as well. So just go and do this example execution. Monday, we will try to learn more points using file connector. Add file connector to the project, add the module. Once adding the module, use the file connector configuration. And then example 1, poll for a new file. Print the contents in the from the file and move the file to a archive location. So we will continue the next part in tomorrow session, Monday session, and then we will see something called Mule 4 event model, how Mule receives the data from external systems and how it will process the things. That we are going to see in the Monday session. For that, you guys needs to complete your examples practice. So I'll upload this video in a while. So do and practice the examples and come to Monday by doing all the things, right? So if you have any questions, stay back. If you don't have any questions, feel free to drop off. So with this, your general 4 days demo sessions are done. If you want to take one more day, fine, you can take it, right? So please do practice and come to the next session. Those who freshly joined today, go through the videos that I have already shared the link in the chat box. So if anyone got joined late, again, I am pasting the same content, copy this out, and then complete the practice. Complete the practice by seeing the video for today. So I'm stopping here. So if any question,